So let me gently introduce our panel for tonight's Wednesday night undressed, or old farts complaining, as everyone likes it to be known. Say good evening to the magic Dr. Orlando, the indefatigable Kathleen Taylor, the legendary Jason Springer now.
JT, what's good?
What's up? The Dark Lord of Transylvanian Pheromones, Ivo Ivanov, and guesting tonight, Fernando.
Hello, everybody.
What?
You said hello.
Hello, everybody. What's that? Fernando.
Give us something sexy. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Is that how they do it in Brazil? All right.
I mean, ABBA, that amazing band ABBA, wrote a whole song about him. This is him.
You've never heard that before, right? Nobody's ever mentioned the ABBA song to you before.
It's getting old. It was common, probably more like 20 years ago, but now it's getting out of reference.
Just like Jerry Springer's possibly my father. I've never heard that. Never.
That's a good point.
Is he?
If he were, I wouldn't be here because I'd be a rich-ass, spoiled little motherfucker, so I wouldn't even be sitting here right now.
But you are a rich-ass, spoiled little motherfucker.
Is that why I'm a teacher?
No, forget the rich part.
Yeah.
Okay, so, look, I'm getting a little concerned. I've been a real estate agent for a lot of my life, own a real estate agency, and all that sort of many investments one has. Has any of the panel ever considered moving into a tiny house? By tiny, I mean the sort of size of a large garden shed. And if you did move into a tiny house, what is the one amenity that your tiny house would be required to have? Jason Springer now.
No, I've never considered living in a tiny house because I'm not going to lie to you, that would creep the hell out of me. And
they're like 300 square feet. It's not all that tiny. A 30 by 10 room.
From the tiny houses I've seen in like home shows and what have you, it's tiny enough that...
Okay.
No.
It'd creep you out, would it?
Okay, number one, I would have to live alone. If I'm living with someone, no. I need to get away from that person every so often and just have my own space. That's not me being selfish. That's just so we don't kill each other, number one. But as far as things that I would want that are like the amenity that I need in my house, I need a sex swing. I'm serious because, well, no, here's why. Number one, I can take a nap on it instead of just using the bed.
Right.
And number two, we don't have to just sit there and hump on the bed all the time or on this horrible chair that we can only put in our house because our house is so tiny. At least I can use it for, it's got multiple functions, let's put it that way. But
I had not considered that.
I mean, again, I'm going with the whole minimalist space issue, so I got to have something useful on numerous levels.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
What would you need in your tiny house?
I think the sex swing is not one of them.
No.
What? No, I'm sorry.
On Jerry's face.
Son of a...
I would need a sewing machine.
Have another iced tea now.
Oh dear.
Sewing machine, all right.
Yeah, and a place to stash 5,000 square feet of material, which I will never get through.
See, that's why I can't have a small house.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to hire a shopping mall to keep it in.
What am I going to do with all of my comic books, for God's sakes?
Well, true. Yeah.
It
It would really force you to get rid of stuff. That is for sure.
It is true. Yes.
And you would just think in the middle of the night how close you would be. In the middle of the night, how close you would be to the refrigerator.
Valid.
It's a good
But
point.
how close would I also be to my cat's shit box? I don't need that.
Hey, I would not share a small home with a cat.
See, I don't, even my dog. Even if I had a dog, no. Me and the animal, we need some room.
I wouldn't even let a bird in there.
No.
Nah.
No.
Maybe a snake.
Snake, maybe a tarantula, maybe.
Did you hear about this guy who lost his 30-foot python and had to put notes on his neighbor's doors
I did hear about this,
saying,
actually.
my 30-foot python got out, so watch out. Keep your dogs and cats inside.
Where?
But at least,
Which
I
state?
remember. It
but
was
at least he was kind enough to
maybe
actually
Texas.
alert
I
the
don't know where it
neighbors.
was. Yeah.
Because some people just sort of been like, well, python's gone. Oh well. At least he alerted the neighbors.
Yeah, and then he had to
What's it
move, I
called?
expect.
Monty.
Is that the full Monty?
Monty the Python.
Evo, have you ever thought about living in a tiny house?
Tiny house.
300 square feet tops.
So this, I've been watching. Jamie's been watching the tiny house shows on TV. You know, and I am kind of a collateral damage to her watching those shows, so I end up watching them as well. So I think that it's not a coincidence that the tiny house explosion and trend has coincided with the digital revolution, because what this has allowed us to do is get rid of a lot of our material stuff. Like, for example, you don't need a Playboy collection anymore. You know, you have a laptop.
You always need a Playboy collection.
Yeah. Well, let's slow your roll, buddy.
You don't need a physical Playboy collection.
Well, I mean, why would you?
Hang on, man. Hang on now.
In case of a apocalyptic event, you have to have some Playboys in your nuclear shelter. But now you have a laptop. You know you can digitize.
But you've only
you
got
don't
like
need,
2 different electrical outlets. How
you don't
you're gonna
need,
have to share these things.
You don't need the giant CD collection. You don't need the DVD collection. Everything has gone in the cloud, so you can actually rationalize the place a little bit. But at the same time, I think this is a kind of an impulse buy for a lot of people, and I am pretty sure they regret it very soon, because I can imagine myself living for a split second in this kind of space, but before you know it, your socks, your clothes will be, you have to constantly pick up everything. The storage space is so small, you have to constantly think about rationalizing space, and I think it's a nightmare. I look at these houses and I'm like, I don't want to wear in a house that I have to actually put on, like wear it. It's ridiculous. So no, it's not, I don't find it convenient. I think it's a trend that's going to die out.
I do need to ask, because the 2 who went before you, we have 1 vote for a sex swing and 1 vote against a sex swing. I just wondered what you...
Well,
in the small place.
In your tiny house, you want a sex swing.
Tiny house, basically, what most guys need is just sex swing with a roof. And you'll be set.
That sounds like a vote for.
Yes,
I think that's a vote for.
I think so.
That's
Fernando.
all we need.
Fernando.
Yes.
What do you think? Not necessarily about a sex swing.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, considering to move into a tiny house, like I grew in a tiny house. Basically, it was a thing called house that was size of an apartment with 2 siblings and parents. And man, it's rush hour and bathroom. You don't wanna deal with that. Like, so it's really, I don't care. I mean, I understand about efficiency, but I mean, it's not a wish. But it's good. Like, you can be a little greener. But I mean,
if
how many
you have
people
more
live in
than
an
3
apartment?
wives,
Like,
how you gonna?
Yeah.
It
Well,
work out.
But
Are you telling us?
But I get the feeling that you're
myself
not
every
into
day
the
of my
idea of having
profession.
a sex swing in the little house. Just
no, that we can hang outside. There is trees and stuff.
put it on a tree.
Yes.
Very good idea.
But what if it's raining or snowing, man?
Well, then you're
might
quick,
be,
aren't you?
refreshing.
Don't be silly.
What are you just
You'd be
going to
quick.
fuck on the oven? I mean, what?
You need a sex swing.
Dr. Orlando.
Thank you.
For me, I sort of went through this process of elimination. The very first thing that I thought that I would absolutely have to have was massive bookshelves. Because I like the one thing
Digital revolution.
I've actually kind of switched back to the physical book.
It feels good, right?
It feels good.
I kind of echo that a little bit, because one of the things, if I were to take this seriously, one thing I would have to have is a record player.
Oh, yeah. Here's my answer to all of this. You get a tiny house, and then you get a tiny record player. You get tiny library with tiny little books in it. Tiny S&M dungeon. Everything, it's going to be fun. Tiny sex swing.
Where are you going to have your wild parties? Your riotous parties. I guess you can get tiny little friends.
Tiny party.
That's what your
tiny,
car's
tiny
for.
little friends.
Yeah,
Tiny
little bitty friends.
Yeah, you miniaturize your friends.
Oh,
and yeah.
So believe it or not,
That was a great book.
That was the first thing. Then I thought about like one long ass wall so that I could have a giant TV, because like I love watching TV. But I think the thing that I would want to have more so than anything else is a house that is self-sustainable with energy. Like that I wouldn't have to pay for electricity. I'd get one of the solar cells on, solar panels on the roof and the Tesla battery inside. I think that would probably be the thing that would keep me in the house longer than anything else.
I can just see you in this tiny house with one whole wall, a TV screen.
The entire
and the
house
other
wall.
side would be bookshelves. There would be no bathroom, no nothing else.
No.
Just
I got outside.
yeah.
I'm coming to your house to watch movies.
Have you read?
In fact, I'll bring some over. Never mind. I can't even tell you what I'm going to bring over.
Okay.
Has anyone read God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater by Kurt Vonnegut? In it, he proposed a great idea. It was like in the near future, and the Chinese have taken over the world, over global economy and progress because they had found a way to miniaturize themselves, make themselves really, really tiny and maximize the resources. And I think that's the only way to live in a tiny house. You get yourself miniaturized, everything around you gets small, and then you can exist in a tiny house. That's the only way. My daughter...
Brilliant idea.
But see,
Brilliant.
that's the whole idea about like I would need space. Is even though I'm not a claustrophobic individual, I would become claustrophobic in this tiny house.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not at all a claustrophobic person, but if this is all I've
you're
got
constantly-
every single day, and I'm living with someone constantly,
Yeah.
no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, you don't want to live in a freaking elevator.
Wait a minute.
You want a
I
real
got to take
house.
my wife with me?
Oh, yeah, that's a...
Yeah, bud.
This is
Yeah.
not
And your
just a
kids.
man cave.
Man cave.
Although as a man cave, it'd be cool.
Man cave would be cool, but like my
Yeah.
house, no.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, I'd like to share that I hate the noise the car makes when I leave the door open or when I fail to put on my seatbelt.
Beep, beep.
However, I am quite partial to the smell of skunk. What are the warning noises and smells that most annoy you?
Oh,
You
this
mean
is where
warning
this sentence was
smells?
going. I understand now.
Like
You know,
if you left your seatbelt off, there would be a smell come out in the car. I like that idea.
So yes, if you don't put your safety belt
Yeah.
on, you get a skunk smell.
Fresh skunk smell.
Essence of skunk.
The essence of skunk. I don't. I
That
don't.
would be interesting.
The sound thing, I kind of understand because wasn't there a condition like misophobia or something?
Yeah, misophonia.
Misophonia.
Oh, that's right. It really
Misophonia
sets
that
you off.
you develop in your childhood, a kind of intolerance to certain sounds, and that's once you develop them, they don't go away. Like the chalkboard thing.
Why don't they use a chalkboard thing for a seatbelt warning?
But see, for some people, like for me, that does nothing.
Doesn't bother me
Yeah,
at
it
all.
doesn't bother me at
How
all.
about
Oh, you're weird. Weird.
loud eaters? People out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's the smacking
Yeah,
thing. I don't
Yeah,
like that. But I
that's
can
nasty.
tell you something from today's world. With
Yeah.
the whole chip reader now, with your credit card, instead of being able to swipe your card, you got to use the chip on your card. and
Is
you
there
have
a
to put-
sound that it makes?
Because whenever you put your card
yeah,
in,
it does.
whenever it registers the card and like you've been approved, it goes alerting you that
Yeah.
your payment's been received and you've got to remove your card immediately.
Oh, and that everybody
sound-
around as well.
That sound is a
That's
I hate
that's
that
cheap
sound.
shaming too, because like everybody around now knows that your car has been declined.
No, it's not a decline.
No, that just
it-
means take it out.
Yeah,
It's fine.
it means it's like your payment hasn't been approved. Get this goddamn thing out of my machine. That's what that sound is.
It's basically
forget
the
to take your
machine
card
is saying,
with you.
take it out of my mouth now.
Yeah. Get this thing out of my butthole. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah.
Just a break on the subject of
The chip?
chip card.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. But why, like some retailers, like for example, you go to the average store, like with the chip card, that it takes forever. So compare the time to slide. Done. You just slide. You count to maybe 5, got approved, or some trouble
Great.
happened.
But with the sliding, you have to sign as well, and that adds time.
But on some chip cards, you got to sign the chip reader too.
Some chip cards they make
Yeah.
some too.
No,
Yeah.
the self-checkout, you don't have to sign
No,
anything.
but on some, not just the grocery store, but there are certain places. If you go, you want to pay with a credit card, you've got to use the chip reader.
Yeah.
But you have to sign it once to actually have it approved. You got to sign that the amount that is given to you is the correct amount, and then you have to sign your name again, and then it goes.
And beep you on top of that,
Yeah.
like you get an alarm noise
we are
that
getting
the
so
word gonna
close
end.
to, because you remember I wrote checks all the time. Remember in the It was 90
Oh,
euro
days.
check,
Yeah.
and then you had cash checks, then the card, then you slide your card at a checkout. Now it's a chip. We're getting closer and closer to a moment where they'll just put something in your earlobe, and you just go by the machine. It recognizes how much you.
Can I just ask you, Eva, before we go to Dr. Orlando, back in
the sounds?
the UK, when you use your card, you put it in as a chip pin. It's called chip and pin. So it's got a chip, and you have to have your personal pin
Yeah,
to make that work.
yeah.
Which is what is intended with what's going on here.
Yeah,
But
you
nobody's
see a lot
been
of that
able to
here.
actually do it. Nobody's assigned PIN numbers to
Yeah.
go with
But-
your chipped card
No,
yet.
that's not true, because I have to put in my PIN number on my bank card that has a chip now in it. So if I use that as like a debit card, I have to put in my actual.
Anyone who goes
If
to
you use it
UK,
as a debit card, but if you use it as a credit card.
Americans listening to
Well,
this
in
podcast,
a lot of places, you don't even have that choice nowadays. Now it's just if you put that card in there and it's affiliated with your bank, whether you choose debit or credit, it just makes you automatically. First off,
I
is
haven't
this amount
experienced that,
secure?
yeah.
Yes, it is. Then you got to put in your PIN number.
But that's my point of this annoying cheap credit cards. Like, but notice many retailers, you go there, like for example, McDonald's, you put the chip there, done. You don't hear the noise. There
Yeah.
is no beep. So there is some. They have some. Why is not the standardized?
Very
It's
soon it
freaking
will
weird
be-
and very weird. The retailers, you feel that the cheap crap, it goes in 3 seconds. Say, why not all of them work like as efficient as McDonald's?
Well, we'll probably end up with a chip in our bodies, but
You-
I do
we
not want
will.
it in my ear.
And I'm
I
not
want it
a-
in my big toe.
Well, I'm actually
So
kind
that I have to take off my shoes and socks right there at the checkout. That's what I want to do. That's where I'm going to insist on it.
I'm
If
surprised
it's gonna
people
have a
haven't used
bloody
like your
chip.
thumbprint. I mean, honestly,
It
I
will
mean, if
happen,
we have the
yeah.
system of, fingerprint identification, like why don't we use that for monetary systems?
What if
I'm
someone-
surprised that hasn't come to that?
Yeah,
What if
here's
they
the
cut their
progression. What's
finger?
going to happen? It's going to be in your body somewhere. Next, it's going to read the information as you approach the register. It's going to read the prices. You just have to touch your earlobe or maybe belch or something to activate the transaction. And then later on, it's just going to start programming it into your DNA. So you'll be born with a chip in your DNA, and you will be recognized by banks as you walk around and you do your life.
Dr.
But
Orlando.
we forget completely about the beginning of this conversation, the sounds and the smells. Let's go back to that.
Yeah, Dr. Orlando.
The sound that probably annoys me the most is the sound of a British accent from a host.
Soft, damaged voice.
Yeah.
Watch out.
No. How
Take your
about
microphone away.
How about Fran Drescher's laugh?
Doesn't bother me at all.
Or overly nasal voice like the Valley Girl
Doesn't bother
voice.
me at all.
Really? No, it doesn't
For
bother you.
me-
Can I just take a round robin there?
Gag me with a spoon.
Please don't ever do that again.
See what I'm saying? It's bad.
No, it's
Snoring,
that sound
no.
coming out of you. Please don't ever do that.
It's Trump's voice that puts me off.
The what?
Trump's voice.
Oh,
It just makes me
Oh,
crazy.
there's something interesting about his voice. I've been analyzing it. A lot of the impersonators do a good job impersonating, but they miss each one of them. Everyone has missed the effeminate part. He's extremely. Listen to him carefully. United States of America. Very effeminate. Very, very effeminate.
We are going to work so hard.
Yeah, you almost imagine him with, the.
That's why he's got the
Yeah.
small hands.
Yes. So yeah, this is very annoying. You're right. Also, snoring.
Snoring,
Yes,
yeah, that's a good one. Snoring.
I'm interested to know about snoring. Because
can't
my
sleep.
wife and I, bless us both, we both snore.
I started when my tonsils came out.
And
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, some nights it doesn't bother me, other nights.
You've ruined so many threesomes, guys.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you guys, you're all married, or Jason Springer now, has different ladies most nights, but what do you
Yes.
do about snoring? I mean, you're the only one who's here. Well, I'm looking at Eric, our producer, but I mean, if your partner for the evening and then the night snores, is she done?
No, I just get up and move to the guest bedroom. That's all.
you go to the guest bedroom.
Yeah, because it's a nice, comfy bed, and then I just turn on the sound machine, and it's the white noise
He's a
machine. I get a good
he's
night's
a
sleep.
gentleman.
Oh yeah, the sound machines are awesome.
See, that's a good sound. Put on that
Yeah.
white noise machine.
Distant thunder.
Oh, that's what I have
that's
right
the
now.
best.
That's my favorite.
That's the best.
Oh yeah.
They have hours of that on YouTube as well. You can just
Yeah.
go to YouTube and it's
So don't put
fantabulous.
distant thunder in your
Okay.
car, you'll fall asleep. Right?
So we weren't asking this question, but just out of interest, what is your favourite?
Your favorite sound?
Chill out noising. Chill out noise.
yeah.
Is it distant thunder?
Ooh. Honestly, I would say that is a good one, the distant thunder. But probably, honestly, my favorite. It kind of ties in with that a little bit. But from my childhood, one of the things I remember the most about my childhood is my father and I. We used to sit in the garage, and when it would rain, he would open the garage door, and we'd just sit in the lawn chair and just listen to it rain, and not say a word. We'd just sit there and just relax and just listen to it rain. That is one of the best memories I have from childhood.
It is so
just the
good.
sound of rain falling, with thunder, without, it doesn't matter. But
well, we're in the
I'll take
Midwest,
that.
so you're likely to get thunderstorms,
Valid.
tornadoes. However, we also have
Oh, the siren.
no, the crickets, the
the
I
cicadas.
do like that.
cicadas.
I
all
like
summer.
that.
That makes me fall asleep. That's,
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed. That's a good one.
You know what's an incredibly soothing sound, and you might be surprised by this one. Living in Europe, I travel a lot by train, and I've traveled long distances by train, and
Yep.
there's this sound.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
When you're in
Agreed.
the train and you get the monotony of it, it puts you to sleep, and it's very soothing. Yeah.
No, that's a good point
Yeah.
because kind of what you said with the cicadas, you get the rhythm, and the rhythm is what
Yes.
just puts you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Lewis's most hated sound, and there's a little bit of long-winded story behind it, but bear with me. I took Lewis to Bulgaria 10 years ago. We went all over the country, and we got involved in a lot of parties, and Lewis at the time was a single guy and was kind of looking around, and there were a lot of really hot women at parties, at the
And when he says a lot of parties, every single night.
nightclubs.
The best part is the look on your face. He starts telling the story, and you have this look on your face like, God damn, I miss those days.
So there were tons and tons of really hot women, and they were all around, and nightclubs, parties, the beach. We ended up, and after about 3 weeks of being around these super hot women and being away, and have not been able to score, as they say, for whatever reason, because we were mostly getting drunk real fast. We ended up at the Black Sea, and one of the very first things is we went to the beach. And the beaches there are clothing optional. So when clothing optional, it's like there's a lot of women without clothes, really. And so Lois and Bobby were really getting really horny. And we ended up staying on this island called Neseber. It's a beautiful, beautiful island in an old house overnight at the Black Sea. And I can feel that they're frustrated. Bobby and Louis are frustrated, and we are falling asleep, but we can't really fall asleep because there were seagulls everywhere all night long. And the seagulls made the following sound all night long. All night long, these guys were furious, So that's one of the most annoying sounds probably at the time.
I would agree. I have
Yeah.
a name for my pain. It is the Bulgarian seagulls.
Actually, now I have two ideas for the next show.
Yeah.
Seagulls and moaners.
We didn't get to smells at all, and I don't know. Skunk, I don't care about skunk. I don't.
I like the smell of skunk.
Actually,
like it?
It's like a really intense coffee smell.
Coffee is a great smell in the morning.
coffee's a good smell in the morning, but I don't know how I would
about
equate
BO?
skunk to that.
Yeah, there's something
See,
wrong.
no, I agree with Jeremy. The problem with the smell of skunk is that it's pungent and it's powerful.
Yeah.
But if you were far enough away, I wouldn't say comforting, but there's something intriguing about the way a skunk
Just
smells.
a little whiff as you go along the highway.
Yeah.
Oh, skunk.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I know what I like to smell. I like to smell coffee in the morning. I like cookies, fresh baked cookies or bread, fresh baked bread. Smells really good.
I'm gonna be a total American. I like cash.
Yeah. Cash,
Smell
The
of
smell,
money.
That's
the smell
a
is
good-
smell like fresh, brand new cash, unwrinkled, brand new cash.
You know, that's
oh
a
my
good
God.
point. And to me, it smells good too.
Yeah.
The ink smells
Yeah,
good. Like
there you go.
fresh ink on a newspaper
Yep.
smells good. But that's maybe because I also was
kinda gets you high a
involved
little
in.
bit.
I was involved in newspaper business, and I worked in a printing place where we actually put together the newspaper at the place where they were printing it, and the smell of fresh ink and paper was really invigorating. This is not healthy for you. Like the people that work there, it's really damaging to them, but it does smell good.
Well, there's another one that's not good for you, but I know Jeremy loves it. Diesel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's bad.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a memory thing.
From the car races.
Okay.
No, not from car race. High octane fuel is motor racing, which I love, but diesel always reminds me of being out in a boat.
Okay, so for
And
me,
one
like,
of our
it's the
producers
ocean.
who spent
I love the smell of the
childhood,
ocean because of
yeah,
memory.
There you
Yeah.
go.
and that's diesel
Yeah,
to me.
okay.
I get
It's
where you're
like
coming
Christmas
from.
trees. Real Christmas trees have a
They
Oh,
smell.
trigger
yeah.
memories.
Yeah.
They trigger good memories.
There you
yeah.
go.
Or good feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I
good
love the
vibes.
smell of napalm in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Me
yeah.
too.
So, like,
Smells like-
3 seconds from just waiting for the pause so that I can insert that. God damn it.
Smells like
Even though-
victory.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Dr. Orlando, do you have any smells from your childhood that you can remember?
You guys really kind of hit on all of them, and it's really, really disturbing that I share most of them with you. Growing up working in my dad's auto garage, I have this affinity for not just the gasoline oil smell, but the smell of metal as it grinds against other metals. Like that is a smell that, like, it has a it makes me remember. It's a trigger. There was some comic book, something that I read a million years ago that said sound or smell is the most direct sense you have to the memory section
The
of your brain.
childhood.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
interesting.
smells will always the point that they were making this is that smells will always trigger a memory.
That is
quicker
scientifically
than-
true, actually.
Yeah. So for me, it's those things that remind me of, if not pleasant times, just younger, more innocent times. So.
Bit like vomit, really?
Yeah. Well, vomit
Well,
reminds
not
me of
for me.
Conroy's. At Conroy's, anything in here that we can smell is a bad smell. The place has dirty floors, but it is the only place where if you drop your food on the floor, it actually gets cleaner. Conroy showed up as soon as he heard the
It was a free ad.
What smells like a diaper full of Indian food? Oh, is that Conroy's?
So let's do a little bit more serious one. This is an interesting one, and I'd like you guys to actually think about this. We do have at least one historian other than myself on the panel. President Trump has said that he'd be honored to meet Rodrigo Duterte of the Philippines, and that he'd also be prepared to meet Kim Jong-un of North
that's
Korea.
unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Under
Wow, even for you, man.
under the
that's-
right
yeah.
circumstances. Now, here's the thing.
That's a Conroy joke right there.
Winston Churchill was prepared to do business and socialize with Joseph Stalin, even though he knew that Stalin was a monster. My question then is Trump going beyond the bounds of civilized decency, or is he wanting to talk? And after all, to quote WSC, jaw is better than war.
Yeah, but you're giving Trump way too much credit here. He does not know that these guys are beyond the bounds of decency. He's just not aware of that. It doesn't compute. If they flatter him, they're good guys.
Yeah, there is a lot of truth to that. He's naturally, organically attracted to the kinds of people that are his own reflection. You look at Erdogan, who basically removed Atatürk's accomplishments in Turkey and rewrote the constitution so he can rule until he dies. He's naturally attracted to Putin's dictatorship ways. We're looking at Rodrigo Duterte. You know what? We can play a game. You take Rodrigo Duterte. In that game, is great because there's no loser. You can't lose. You win every time. So let's call the game Duterte or Trump.
Okay.
I'll give you something, and whether you answer Duterte or Trump, you'll be right. Dictatorial asshole.
Yep.
A narcissist, a malignant narcissist, vulgar, demeaning to women, attracted to younger, disturbingly attracted to younger, very good-looking women. Check.
We're all nodding, yes.
Is supportive of torture and getting rid of his opponents in any possible way, including murder.
Including personally doing it, but that's not that we know of.
Oldest
Trump.
president of his country. Check. Same age, 71. Check. They're basically mirror images of each. Of course, he's gonna meet his brother in arms. This is him. He looks at him, and it's a mirror image of him. He loves this kind of rule. He loves the authoritarian kind of style of governing. Duterte has claimed many times that he has killed people personally.
Fact check.
Yes, he likes to vilify people that are not necessarily committing crime, like drug users, not drug dealers. His death squads, as you know, have killed thousands of drug users.
Yep.
They roam the streets of Manila and kill people that are using drugs.
And they're not particularly friendly toward journalists.
Journalists, yes, and that's another Trump characteristic.
Very close.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, this is the same person. Let's play the same game with Kim Jong-un.
Narcissist.
Overweight, with crazy hair. Narcissistic, inherited his power, influence, and wealth from his father. Is trying desperately to escape the shadow of his father by outdoing his work, no matter how despicable it is. Check. Loves getting rid of his opponents. Has advocated killing his enemies, including their families. And
likes the power trip of threatening nuclear war.
Yes, this is the same guy, in so many ways. And he is admiring him. He says, well, this is a very young guy coming to power and being able to get rid of his uncle. What a dude. That's literally what he said. Yeah. This guy killed his uncle and every relative of his uncle. Firing
what it
squad.
comes down to is Trump not just admires them, he wishes he had that kind of power. He would love to be able to jail journalists whenever he wanted to.
It's almost as
and
though he wants to
order
talk
people
to them.
Now.
He wants to talk to them because he wants them to teach him.
Yeah.
That's what he's really
Yeah, I
looking
wish
for.
I could do the stuff you do, man.
It's unprecedented.
So for me, this is why the conversations about Trump are so frustrating. Because
illogical.
No. Well, okay. So we just talked about Putin. We talked about Duterte. We talked about Erdogan.
Don't forget Un.
Yes, we talked about Un. And I think the thing
He's
that
unforgettable.
all of us can agree on is that these guys are the definition of evil, right?
Yeah.
This is what we describe as this is antithetical to our existence, right? So then we say Trump is just like these guys, but he's too stupid to be like these guys. And that's where I think we make the mistake. I think.
Oh no, he's not too stupid at all.
Yeah, I think
He's trying to move us towards one-party system, and he's succeeding. Actually, in fact, I think since I can remember my own life, this is the first time that we actually have a one-party system in the United States. And I think it's extremely dangerous. And there's check and balances that are working right now. But he has been moving and talking about removing those checks and balances, actively talking about how they're an obstacle, that there needs to be 51% majority.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, so is he using these guys as a blueprint? Is he meeting them
This is
so
my
they can
fear.
rub off of him?
This is exactly
You think
my
he's
fear.
not stupid and that he will be moving toward I think that, no, he's not that bright, but he's got people around him who are, and are behind the scenes doing this.
I think that effectively it's the same thing.
They found themselves a dupe.
Yeah, I think that effectively we
might be the
have
same
an
thing, yeah.
agent that has the capability, the wherewithal, and as far as I can see, the political demeanor and acumen to pull it off.
Yeah, and he's deploying those checks and balances. He's deploying the intelligence community, all the powers that can actually counteract seriously against him. He's slowly it's been 100 days, but he's going to make progress in 4 years. So we'll see if we'll even have elections, if we're even here in 4 years.
How horrible the first healthcare plan was. We have already got some inklings to the second healthcare.
Second's just as bad.
Yeah, but by the time we get to because think about it, we've only been here 100 days. By the time we get to the 100th healthcare plan, it's going to be a case of we are tired of fighting.
Fatigue, fighting fatigue.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and he actually, if you remember Paul Ryan, after the first health plan was defeated, he said this is now the law of the land and we're abandoning it. Why is the health plan been zombified and has risen from the dead? Do you know why?
No.
Because he asked the Congress to do it again. Personally, I'm convinced that he is on a personal agenda to remove everything that Obama did. And what convinced me was the Michelle Obama thing, where he actually canceled her innocuous Let's Help Girls Learn program. These are stuff that first ladies do that has never been touched. That Barbara Bush did stuff like this. That Laura Bush did this. That Michelle. He is the first president, I believe, that is actually going after the previous first ladies' programs that are educational.
Is there a lot of racism in that?
He is vindictive.
Insanely vindictive.
Very vindictive.
Yeah.
And yes, I would agree that yes, there's some racism there, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
But
I think the racism is immaterial. I think that what Ivo is talking about
but the
is
vindictiveness is there.
Yeah.
Anything that says Obama or that
needs
is
to
a
be
name,
removed.
It has to be removed.
So that's how he resuscitated the horrible health plan, because he wants the name Obama to be erased from the history books.
What is very interesting is something Ivo said, and that is that they repeat things enough and people start to miss things.
Yes.
So, for example, this is being recorded on a Wednesday night. It is not beyond the realms of possibility that there will be a vote tonight on the latest healthcare.
Yes.
And if you listen very quickly to what the Republican team are saying, is when questioned pre-existing conditions, they go, yep, absolutely, there's going to be the money there for it.
Yeah, we've taken care of it.
They don't point out, or they forget to mention, subject to the governors of each state agreeing to it. They leave that little sentence out.
And the fact that the money they're giving toward a high-risk pool is nowhere near what would actually be necessary.
Yeah. They just replace some language so the pre-existing condition doesn't, because that's a toxic term. So they want to avoid it, so they created the high-risk pool to avoid even mentioning the words pre-existing condition. But that's going to become the next
So
toxic
you think
terms.
he's going beyond the bounds of civilized decency rather than trying to talk his way out of it?
They mask this as regional strategy. They say, the White House says that him talking to Duterte is part of the United States regional strategy to create alliances in powder keg regions.
He's creating alliance with Turkey?
Hold on, but at the same time, he's broken with the neighbors. Like, who he did not offend? Like, he already,
Merkel, our
he
allies.
was very offensive, like
Mexico,
NATO.
Canada.
Yeah.
You can, like, I don't have enough fingers, so he offend everybody and people. Like, for example, Kim Jong-un. Like, I mean, it's not bad. Like, if you read the news, what's going on, like South Korea. I don't want to take over on politics here, but they're even positive that maybe they could have an agreement, and they're afraid that the U.S. is gonna blow this. So I don't know what's his point. Of course, his guys. Eric Cartman is more predictable and less mean than him.
You know what? If you notice a trend, he's offending democracies. But he's
everywhere.
embracing tyrannical
I agree.
douchebags. There's he's creating tyrannical douchebag fraternity.
douche,
Great
you're
name
in.
for a rock band. But he's creating this, and he's offending Canada democracies, successful democracies, Canada, Scandinavia, Germany, anybody that doesn't fit his idea of governing for power.
And he's claiming that it's to fight ISIS, right? Yet he's trying to make a partnership with Turkey, who has bombed the Kurds who were working with the United States to fight ISIS. You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is scary and dangerous. I think we're in a dangerous time.
So a new word that we're going to start here. I'd like you to bear in mind that this new word is a new word, and it is a word that we've just come up with tonight on Wednesday night undressed, and when it becomes an undressed, it's tyrocracy. Tyrocracy, which is the opposite of democracy. Tyrocracy.
Or douchebag fraternity could be douchernity.
No, that's the name of rock band.
Traducery.
Douchebag Illuminati.
Tyrocracy is a new,
is good.
is a
I
new
like,
word.
it sounds like a dinosaur, though.
Tyrocracy. About 40 decades ago, only Doctor Who was quite certain that stars other than our own sun hosted their own planets. However, now according to NASA, the latest count of confirmed exoplanets stands at around 3,500, and at least 6 of them. 6 are potential Earths. This count will definitely go up. Many researchers believe that the advancement of technology will enable humans to discover some form of life on another planet in coming years. Understandably, these discoveries will kindle questions about Earth's place in the universe. Moreover, contact with intelligent life elsewhere in the universe will present theological and philosophical conundrums that many religions will find deeply challenging. Is this especially true for Christianity, which primarily focuses on humankind and teaches us that God created man in his own image, and all other animals and plants were created for mankind? What would the presence of sentient life on other planets mean for Christians today? Or to put it in another word, when our rover lands on another planet and they meet the locals, and the locals say, "Hello, how are you then?" And we say, "We're from Earth." And they say, "Well, good. That's cool." And so where does that leave the Christians?
That is
That is such a complicated. We can go in so many directions with this topic.
It's not going to change a damn thing. It's
Ain't
not.
gonna do shit.
Ain't gonna do shit. Damn right, ain't gonna do shit.
Are they going to pretend it never happened, like a moon
No,
landing?
because simply put, again, when you talk about religion, you have to agree, no matter what you're talking about, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, whatever religion you believe, there's always this degree of belief, almost egoism, that your religion is the best, that your Savior is the Savior. It's not going to change a damn thing with Christians. They're still going to believe that God was still made in our image. Yeah, there's these other beings on these other planets that might be intelligent beings, but God made them to test us.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
that is.
I'm serious. That's exactly what they will say.
Yeah.
Of
We'll
course.
still be the center
We will
of
still
the
be.
universe.
We will still be the center of the universe. It's not going to change a damn thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I don't think that we're going to meet. We might find some other life forms, but the idea that we might find other forms that are intelligent in a way we can understand, I think that's near zero possibility. It's just
Dr. Orlando, I'd like your deep, deep, and I'm talking deep. I'm wanting you to go deep here, not shallow. I want deep, philosophical stuff.
Ignore any sexual connotation to your comments, and I will say that I was just gonna.
I didn't say anal. I said deep.
Jeremy.
This
It's getting a little blue in here all of a sudden.
this is a very cosmic, very cosmic question. I think it's going to take us beyond the dangerous event horizon of Donald Trump's asshole.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
But
Let's
what were
hope.
you going to say?
I was going
Wow,
to
did not need that
essentially
mental image
say
in my head. Oh, brutal.
what my friend Jason said, that the existence of extraterrestrial life, even intelligent extraterrestrial life, does not preclude God from creating us in His image, especially if they don't look anything like us. If they look like a dog, then maybe they were the accident that you fancy science types keep talking about, and we are the true.
Yeah, so if they look like a dog, but they're so evolutionary advanced, they can read minds and go invisible and just materialize somewhere else in the universe, we'll still think we're superior to them. I mean, they're far beyond our intelligence.
Yes.
We'll still,
yes.
Or maybe...
Actually, we'll probably
Humans would
capture
still
them,
consider
and we're
themselves
gonna
superior,
dissect them and genetically find out how they do that, so we can actually incorporate it into our own species.
Or it'll be the reverse.
Or maybe all these
yeah.
other civilizations that we'll discover, they all have, wherever they are in the universe, they all have crucified Christ at some point, and they all have whatever. This is ridiculous. Anyway, there's what.
So, I'm sorry,
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Kath and I were kind of talking back and forth just before the podcast began. It is my. Hope is not the right word. It is my expectation that if we did come across an advanced extraterrestrial life, that we would actually see some of the hatred that we normally reserve for, brown people here get directed at those people, which means, to my way of thinking, that we're going to see actually more cohesiveness on Earth than we've ever seen before.
I would agree with that, actually. In fact,
As
someone
we
like
all
Trump,
die in each other's arms.
if we found some other species,
Something else to hate.
Exactly. If we found something else to hate and unify us together, you will see politicians make that the enemy to unify all of us, to control all of us.
I always give this example when people ask me if I support globalism or isolationism and nationalism. I always give this example. Imagine that an alien spaceship comes right now, lands in front of you, and an alien being comes, the first visitor from an exoplanet to Earth. What are you going to tell him? Welcome to the United States of America, welcome to Brazil, or welcome to Earth?
I'm going to ask him if he believes in Allah or Jesus, because
Because that's so important.
we are on the brink of making a breakthrough, because next year, as you know, a James Webb telescope is going to be launched. James Webb telescope is far more powerful than the Hubble telescope. It's 6 times. It's basically a giant mirror in the sky. It's got 16 panels that are going to be assembled in space. So it's going to be enormous, and it's going to give us an opportunity. We've discovered so far close to 4,000 exoplanets. When I was a teenager, when I was in college, in fact, there were none discovered. Zero. Only our solar system. Now, we know for sure there's 4,000 exoplanets. This thing is going to discover exoplanets with atmosphere and water, because it can detect molecules, hydrogen, ozone. It will be able to give us precise idea of what planets in the Kepler belt are habitable, and we will have a direct we will be able to direct our efforts of making contact with those planets. And the closest exoplanet that is in the Goldilocks zone is only 14 light years away, which basically is the distance traveled by Usain Bolt in 1 year. So it's not that far away.
That's a good point.
So we are getting close to a breakthrough. Giant. I can't wait for next year for the James Webb telescope to be launched. But yeah, these are interesting questions, and we can go in all kinds of directions, philosophically, religiously. I mean, we know we're not the center of the universe.
To quote Captain Jack. I just always wondered, since I was about 13 and shared a room with a Jewish boy, or a boy of the Jewish religion, and we used to have these long, silly conversations into the middle of the night about what happens if. And one of our favorites was, what happens if Jesus arrives? And he convinces everybody that he is in fact Jesus, Son of God. He's turning water into wine and doing miracles and all that sort of jazz.
And it's long brown hair,
and
but
he's not in fact David Copperfield's son. He's just a really good magician. And he says, well, I haven't been here before. Oops. That's a problem for all the Christians. Or, I have been here before, 2,000, 3,000 years ago. That's a problem for all the Jews. Or when one of us says to him, so your dad's God? And he says, no, No, my sister and I call him Buddha. That's
but-
what we've always called him, Buddha.
But
Big
there's one-
fat guy, sits on a chair.
But hang on, the Jews, they don't deny the fact that Jesus was here before. They accept that he was here, but they just don't accept Jesus as the Savior.
Just as a historical figure.
Yeah, they accept that he was here. But
Yeah,
they
I'm just saying.
Okay.
My point is that when you stop to think about it, religions are a little bit silly, because
that's because they're cults.
you know
I
if
have
you go
com-
underneath where the Pope lives, the Vatican. You know, there's the archives. We saw them on that documentary, Angels and Demons.
And the Da Vinci Code.
The Da Vinci Code, yes, another well-known documentary.
Yes.
With the future president in it, actually, as an actor.
Are you kidding?
Tom Hanks, yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all that information they've got. What? All that information they've got down there, you know, I mean, they know about Martians. There's no question about that.
Yeah,
have a
it's
good
fascinating.
observatory.
This is a fascinating statement, but what really we are all
Oh,
eager
thank
to
you.
learn is if those long midnight conversation with the Jewish boy led to snuggling and maybe gentle caresses.
Genital
Maybe a little
caresses.
spooning,
Spooning,
dear.
maybe
Say
spooning.
thank you.
the occasional fork.
Yes.
Occasionally, he said thank you, yes.
Maybe scissoring.
But there's no porking going on. We can't have
No,
pork.
that's
there's no pork.
No,
pork.
it's not
Can
kosher.
we stop now? I mean, really, jeez.
Well, this is obviously one of the problems why one's thrown out of the House of Lords. You've been listening to Wednesday Night Undressed, or old men and old farts and some old lady farts. Talking. The team tonight was Jason Springernow, the Magic Dr. Orlando, the indefatigable Kathleen Taylor, Transylvanian Pheromone King, Ivo Ivanov, and of course our team of engineers. Our
think you
guest
forgot
tonight
Mr.
was
Lefort.
Fernando. We're very pleased to see our producer Eric back.
Yeah! Eric, back in action. And let's not forget our generous sponsors.
Yes.
For today, let's go with myspace.com and with Netscape Navigator.
And
Yeah, yeah, of course.
GeoCities.
And that well-known explorer, Neil Rasmus. Yay!
Stand up.